We are currently going into round 5 here of the regional, 5 of 8 rounds. We're going to go into team preview right now between I Am a Rookie, Chase L versus Max D. Off-screen, Chase going to be running Cresselia, Kangaskhan, Conkeldurr, Amoonguss, Heatran, and Sylveon. Starmetroid Max going to be running Salamence, Aegislash, Ludicolo, Politoed, Thundurus, Incarnate, and Terrakion. So Chase, of course, is the other half of the Lippert brothers. We just saw Colton on stream a bit earlier in the previous round. Both players here are, they're in the hunt for CP right now. Starmetroid is probably right now, I think, Vancouver's or the Canada area's best player in terms of championship point ranking. So, Len, what do you think about the teams that we see right now?
So looking at these teams, it's that Rain core with offensive Pokemon and Thundurus, Terrakion, Aegislash, and then what's most likely Mega Salamence against what's probably Trick Room of some variety. The Kangaskhan is not a normal Trick Room Mega, but Cresselia, Conkeldurr, Amoonguss, Sylveon, Heatran, all that stuff can be Trick Room Pokemon. So we might see Trick Room come up against what's a pretty fast team for Max. His Aegislash and Politoed might be slow. Politoed could also be Scarf and be very fast. So I think Trick Room could be a really good tool for Chase if he has it.
I think this is pretty similar to the team that Starmetroid ran last week in Seattle. Similar to what I believe his team building buddy, Mark Hansen, Crawdon, is also running too. That most likely, if that's the case, then that is going to be a Scarf Politoed, Mega Salamence, Ludicolo out there with that great rain sweeping ability. I mean, this is going to be a good matchup between the two. Going into the leads right now, we see obviously Kangaskhan's most likely going to be selected on Chase's side, but going into the leads right now, Cresselia and Kangaskhan out for Chase's side, and Starmetroid going to go ahead and go Salamence and Aegislash. So interesting.
Yeah, Aegislash already out in a good spot, but I do think Trick Room will probably go up this turn. You can fake out if Chase has it. You can fake out the Salamence and get Trick Room up. Aegislash will be a big threat. It'll do a giant chunk to Cresselia this turn, have another chance to do more next turn, but I think it's worth it to get that speed advantage against a pretty fast team for Max.
Yeah, right now it's awkward because Aegislash and Salamence are kind of like sandwiching the speed tiers right now. Even if Trick Room comes up, that means Aegislash is going to be moving first, but at the same time, Aegislash is going to leave himself vulnerable in blade form.
Yeah, and I think it's worth it to get slower than that Salamence. You don't want to give it too many turns faster and then risk stuff like Ludicolo and Politoed coming in and being even bigger threats.
Yeah, and Kangaskhan is one of those Pokemon, it can operate in Trick Room if it really wanted to, but
we also could see a fake out towards. We didn't see the Mega Evolution, which leads me to think we might see a fake out towards Aegislash.
Well, it's Mega after. Kangaskhan goes for the fake out onto the Aegislash. Oh, good call, Len.
Yeah, so
good call.
The Salamence was actually less of a threat that turn than getting a giant Life Orb Shadow Ball on the Cresselia, and so Chase is happy to see that, especially with the switch. This is a great turn. Now he can threaten that Terrakion with a low kick or a Psychic, and Sucker Punch keeps Aegislash in a bit of check where he has to consider whether or not to even attack.
Yeah, and Aegislash right now stuck in blade form. It's going to be moving first. Do you think it's beneficial for Aegislash to get out of blade form or just go on the offensive right now?
I think it probably should go on the offensive and expect something like a low kick towards Terrakion, because the Psychic won't knock out Terrakion, and that would leave, if Kangaskhan tried to Sucker Punch, it would leave it open for close combat. So I do think it's a fairly safe turn to try to get a Shadow Ball on Cresselia or a Flash Cannon on Kangaskhan, but it's definitely a risk. But one Max may need to take, because if he gets it wrong, if he King Shields into like a Cresselia switch into a more offensive Pokemon and a low kick, and City doesn't do either and just switches out.
Going to go into Salamence, going to go for another Intimidate. That's actually a good Intimidate. That might actually make the difference between the KO on Terrakion or not.
Absolutely.
At -2, Kangaskhan will not be doing too much damage to Terrakion.
And yeah, that's the switch I expected to see. Bring in a Pokemon that can make better use of these Trick Room turns to do damage.
We do see Heatran come in for the Cresselia, as Kangaskhan's going to go ahead and go Mega. At -2, low kick possibly.
Yeah, and if it misses the KO and then close combat returns the KO, could be huge. Oh, and fails the Sucker Punch, even bigger.
Instead, and Terrakion goes for the close combat onto the Kangaskhan slot, and that is going to be a free knockout to the Mega Kangaskhan. That is something that you rarely ever want to see.
No, especially when you already had Trick Room advantage. Yeah, the Sucker Punch was enticing to go for, but I do think the Terrakion's what Chase had to deal with. It would be nice to get a free Aegislash knockout, but it was so many ways that could not happen, and trying to go for it left him so open for clone scrap, but he didn't try to stop. The only way that wasn't happening was a switch or protect from Tracheon.
But we do see Sylveon come in, and that's great.
Now, and especially because Heat Wave will also happen this turn to keep Aegislash from coming in. This is how you use your Trick Room turns.
Yeah. If you can use your Trick Room turns to spam Hyper Voice and Heat Waves or any other move from Heatran, that's a good Trick Room right there.
We saw Heat Wave Hyper Voice together last turn. There not much can really take both of them in a way it likes. You have to have fire types. And if you don't have the Heatran, that's part of why Heatran's getting so popular. If you don't have the Heatran to take that Hyper Voice Heat Wave, something's going to get knocked out.
And there's still one Pokemon that we haven't seen yet from Max's side. Wonder what it is, either Ludicolo or you probably wouldn't bring the Ludicolo
by itself.
Politoed,
Politoed,
or even the Thunderous Incarnate. So,
but none of that is going to survive. Oh, sub goes up.
Heatran puts up a sub. That's actually a pretty safe turn for the sub. Depending on what item the Striking holds, if it's carrying a Focus Action, that's going to be unfortunate. And it does pick up the double knockout.
I expected to see the Heat Wave because the Aegislash switch in is so good otherwise. Even getting a free sub as Aegislash switches in, you're losing more and more turns of Trick Room, allowing Flash Cannon next turn. But because Aegislash doesn't switch in, the sub is a perfect play. Makes up for losing Kangaskhan, I think, last turn, because now it's in a great position. 2 knockouts and a sub up.
Essentially knocking out Max is a Mega as well. And I don't think we didn't see the Soundless go Mega. So
no, we didn't, which is interesting.
Weird.
I think he maybe was trying to save it for later Intimidate. Maybe he forgot. Most players don't go into 4 turns before they
always forget to Mega Evolve all the time, so I wouldn't hold it past him.
But so Ludicolo, despite what you said, Ludicolo does come without Politoed, but it's not going to do that much. So basically, Cresselia needs needs to KO Cresselia. Ludicolo is not going to do it. But on the other hand, Heatran threatens Aegislash so much. So this Heatran needs to get it sub-broken and KO'd soon if Max has any chance at this game.
Aegislash going to go ahead and King's Shield here and going to protect itself this turn too.
Yeah, that's the great play. You burnt the King Shield on Max's side using its own Protect. Won't take the Scald. Also protects with Sylveon.
Right, no point in taking unnecessary damage from a Fake Out or a Flash Cannon from Aegislash. So good call right there from Chase to play it a little bit safe. And he's still kind of in a precarious position. He can be in a precarious position, You don't want to throw away your leads. Pokemon's a game where momentum can shift instantly, just like that.
It can. What I think right now, Max has the advantage of Aegislash moving first, so it can break the sub and then a Scald can land, which is not what it's not trying to do anyway. But that is an advantage that's going to lose very soon, where Scald will go
hangs on
first.
With 3 hit points to survive the Flash Cannon, and Aegislash now going to be in Blade Form, going to take a Heat Wave, and Sylveon's going to get off a Hyper Voice, so that should do it. Ludicolo is pretty bulky, but there's still Cresselia in the back, and Ludicolo really has no way to beat this Heatran behind the sub. It can't Scald, but it's just going to keep taking Heat Waves from it anyways. The Hyper Voice does do a good amount of damage to that Ludicolo, and the Scald is going to break the Heatran sub, so it's Ludicolo versus the world, though, but...
Twisted Dimensions return to normal, which also help Max. He can Scald the Sylveon and hope for a Heat Wave miss, maybe? You get a Heat Wave miss, and then you eventually KO Sylveon, or use Giga Drain to heal off some of the Psychic? I don't really know. He doesn't try to stop the Hyper Voice, so that'll win game.
Content with just trying to knock out that Heatran, as the Hyper Voice is going to connect with the Ludicolo, and Chase is going to move on to 5-0 here at the 2015 Salt Lake City Regional Championship, defeating Star Metroid Max.